Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question asks if I can analyze the mental health and personality factors that may be at work in the life and death of Howard Hughes. Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I'll put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. So first I'll start with the background of Howard Hughes, and then I'll move to the mental health and personality factors. Howard Hughes Jr. was born in San Antonio, Texas on September 24, 1905, although he claimed he was born on Christmas Eve of that year, so there's some dispute there. His father, Howard Hughes Sr., was an inventor who opened a drill bit manufacturer in 1909. His mother was named Aline Stone Gano. She has been described as a debutante. She was the granddaughter of a Confederate general. Apparently, she was obsessed with germs and sickness. To protect her son, he slept in her bedroom most nights. Hughes' father sent him to boarding schools, in part to break up that dynamic. It was clear from a young age that Hughes was exceptionally intelligent. He had an incredible mechanical aptitude, but he did not do well in school. In addition to finding it boring, he was shy and had a hearing impairment that was thought to be genetic. He focused his attention on two areas, aviation and cinema. He would take his first flying lesson at age 14. When he was 15, he had paralysis in his legs for 8 weeks that could not be explained from any physical health perspective. After going to boarding schools in Massachusetts and California, he enrolled at Caltech, located in Pasadena, California, and would eventually attend Rice University in Houston, Texas. There he studied aeronautical engineering and mathematics. In 1922, Hughes' mother died, and in 1924, his father died as well. Because of this, Hughes inherited 3/4 of the family fortune. He would drop out of Rice University at this point, so he never earned a college degree. In 1925, Hughes married Ella Botts Rice, who was the great niece of William Marsh Rice, who left his fortune to Rice University so the school could be established. The couple would get divorced about 4 years later. Throughout his life, Hughes had romantic relationships with a number of celebrities, just to name a few: Betty Davis, Katharine Hepburn, Ginger Rogers, Janet Leigh, Joan Fontaine, and Rita Hayworth. He dated women regardless of his marital status. Hughes was an extremely successful businessman. He was involved in a number of industries, like aviation. He owned the Hughes Aircraft Company and the airline TWA, real estate, most notably he owned several hotels in Las Vegas, and motion pictures, owning RKO Pictures. In 1936, Hughes was driving in Los Angeles when he struck and killed a pedestrian. It was reported that he had been drinking. A witness said he was driving erratically and at a high speed, but the witness changed their story. Hughes was not held responsible for the death. Many people believe the witness had cash-induced memory modification. In 1938, Hughes flew around the world in 91 days in a twin-engine Lockheed 14 Super Electra. Even though Hughes was wealthy, this world record-breaking flight was really the beginning of his popularity. In 1943, Hughes was in Las Vegas flying a Sikorsky S-43. This is a twin-engine amphibious aircraft, when it crashed into a lake, killing one of the people on board. Hughes was injured, but survived. In July 1946, Hughes was involved in another aircraft accident, this time in California. He was flying an XF-11 reconnaissance aircraft when a mechanical failure caused him to lose control. Hughes tried to land on a golf course, but he ended up crashing into a neighborhood in Beverly Hills. Hughes managed to get out of the aircraft as it caught on fire, but he could not get too far away from it. A passerby pulled Hughes away from the wreckage. Hughes' injuries were substantial, including a collapsed lung, a broken collarbone, broken jaw, broken ribs, and third-degree burns. He would have chronic pain for the rest of his life and excessively used opioids to manage that pain. Hughes was also known for building the H-4 Hercules, a massive flying boat that at the time had the longest wingspan of any aircraft ever made. Originally, it was supposed to be a transport used during World War II. The war ended, but Hughes kept working on it. It was not a practical idea. Detractors called it the spruce goose, even though it was actually made mostly from birch. The aircraft flew just one time in 1947 for about a mile, with Hughes at the controls. In 1948, Hughes was able to take a controlling interest in RKO Pictures, and by 1954, he was essentially the sole owner of that company. He would sell it in 1955 to focus on aviation. He was responsible for the production of many movies, not all of which were successful. In 1957, he would marry the actress Jean Peters, who was 22 years younger than him. They would divorce in 1971, but they had been apart for many years by that point. In 1960, Hughes started living in hotels, occasionally moving from one hotel to another. In 1966, he moved into a hotel in Las Vegas named the Desert Inn. He would not leave, so to avoid troubles with the owners of the hotel, he bought it in 1967. He would go on to purchase several other hotels in Las Vegas. On April 5, 1976, Hughes was on board an aircraft that was flying from a hotel in Mexico to a hospital in Houston, Texas. During the flight, he died from kidney failure. He had already been in a coma for 3 days at that point. He was 70 years old. In addition to kidney damage, an autopsy showed that Hughes was covered in bed sores. He suffered from malnutrition and had 5 broken hypodermic needles in his arms. This was thought to be from codeine injections. It is believed that his kidney problems were caused by drug use. Now moving to the mental health and personality factors. I'm not aware of any official diagnosis that was ever given to Howard Hughes. There are many theories about what could have been going on with him. Hughes had exceptional wealth. At one time, he was the richest person in the United States. Wealth often changes the way mental health symptoms appear to the outside world. For example, Hughes was described as eccentric, but if he was not wealthy, the descriptions would have been less forgiving. Either way, he had a number of unusual behaviors. Let's take a look at a few of them. He would become fixated on small things, details. He could be very stubborn, and at other times, indecisive. When working on the movie The Outlaw, he became obsessed with a flaw in the fabric of one of Jane Russell's blouses. It's been reported that Hughes had mood swings. There's a period of time starting in 1958 when he would screen movies at a film studio not far from his residence. He did this for about 4 months. Often, he was naked, sitting in a chair while watching the movies. He would use tissues to avoid touching objects. He washed his hands excessively. He put tissue boxes on his feet, probably to avoid wearing shoes, and he would not cut his fingernails or toenails. Hughes had several neuropathies and allodynia, so if anything touched his skin, it would cause him a lot of pain. This explains why he didn't wear clothing, shoes, or cut his nails. We also see that he gave his staff instructions not to speak to him or look at him. Now, all this behavior would be repeated at a Beverly Hills hotel bungalow not long after this. Here he was surrounded by a number of girlfriends and staff, so he placed a pink hotel napkin over his private area. I can just imagine Hughes getting ready to hand the napkin back to the hotel staff, and they would say, "You know what? You hang on to that. Consider it a gift from the hotel." Hughes was fixated on the movie Ice Station Zebra. This was a 1968 film starring Rock Hudson, and on a movie that Hughes' own company, RKO, had produced, The Conqueror, which was a disaster. Hughes was obsessed with his failure and would watch it over and over. Hughes was obsessed with seclusion and secrecy. He had a preference for one particular type of dinner, specifically a New York cut steak, medium rare, with a dinner salad and peas. There have been different stories about what was going on with the peas. Some say that he would count them and measure them, only eating peas of a certain size. He would also stack and unstack documents. He purchased the Silver Slipper Casino because the neon sign bothered him. He could see it from his window from another hotel. So why move rooms when you can just buy the place and take down the sign? When Baskin-Robbins discontinued banana nut ice cream, he placed a special order for 350 gallons. Within a few days, he changed his mind and said he only wanted French vanilla, which is incidentally my favorite flavor. With all this in mind, it's not surprising that many people believe that Hughes had obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. It appears as though his mother may have had symptoms of this disorder as well. OCD is an interesting disorder in that it has a high level of comorbidity with obsessive compulsive personality disorder, OCPD. So we have OCD and OCPD, two different disorders. Even if a person who has OCD does not have OCPD, they often still have a few symptoms of that personality disorder. Sometimes the OCPD characteristics can be helpful. We see a dedication to productivity, perfectionism, and attention to detail. Perhaps these traits in Hughes contributed to his success. What I find particularly interesting about Hughes is that his OCD symptoms, and for that matter, some of his possible obsessive-compulsive personality features, did not appear until later in life. I think it's possible that when Hughes reached an age near his parents' ages when they died, he became more aware of his mortality. This, combined with his early experiences of his mother having OCD symptoms, triggered the development of the disorder. Many people believe that Hughes could have also had something like schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, or delusional disorder, some disorder associated with psychosis, but I don't think the evidence really supports that. Hughes took massive amounts of codeine for many years. If we combine this with the OCD, I think that actually explains his behavior adequately. The reason he had an unusual expression of substance dependence in OCD was because of his wealth. He could functionally buy any product or service that he wanted, something most people with these disorders cannot do. I think the main concern for Hughes was really the physical pain. The accident in the XF-11 in 1946 caused horrible damage to his body, so much so that he was not expected to survive. Now, taking a look at his potential personality profile, when I conceptualize personality, I use the 5-factor model. I remember the 5 traits through the acronym OCEAN: openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. So with Hughes, we see a high level of openness to experience. He was creative, had an appreciation for art, like the cinema. He was intellectually curious and adventurous. We see mid-range conscientiousness. He had a good work ethic, but he could also be impulsive. With extroversion, we see his level was high. He was sensation-seeking and assertive. For agreeableness, we see a low level. He was not modest. He was not altruistic. He started a medical center, but helping people was not the goal. Avoiding taxes was. And he had a lot of distrust, but the drug use could have explained some of that paranoia. With neuroticism, we see a high level. He was anxious. He may have been depressed, and he had difficulty resisting temptation. So summing everything up, Howard Hughes was an unusual figure who made significant contributions to the aviation industry and some contributions to cinema. His reputation for secret deals and bribing public officials, allegedly Richard Nixon was one of those, have fueled conspiracy theories for years. Hughes is a great example of how sometimes conspiracy theories can be true and why too much power in the hands of one person isn't a good idea. Those are my thoughts on Howard Hughes. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be interesting. Thanks for watching.